Any questions? I bought my own house recently. I've been making these videos in my parents' basement. Now I'm my own thing. And the Jigglypuffs are part of it. But when you move to a new house, you have to do a ton of stuff to get set up. So my spare time this first month's been down the pooper. So we're gonna talk some PS4 shovelware. And Shadow Man gets done when it's done. Any questions?
Right, so remember when Life of Black Tiger was the worst game on the PlayStation 4? Well, I've stockpiled 6 downloadable games that shouted "Hold my beer" and rose to challenge that throne of poo. I'd call them the Sinister Six, but we know damn well there are a ton more where these piles of ass came from. Because we need a Halloween episode, let's start with The Unknown City, Horror Begins Now. Rather ominously subtitled Chapter 1. The Times New Roman font and bits of scenery constantly disappearing on the menu are not a good sign, like preemptive suckage. The game begins with 2 cops driving along a featureless dark road at night, having gotten lost on their way to a new police station. There's probably at least one Resident Evil game they're ripping off here, but that might be Deadly Premonition vibes I'm getting instead. Hilarity ensues as both cops are voiced by a text-to-speech program.
We have been traveling for more than 1 hour, and I think we should have reached headquarters 20 minutes ago.
We are not lost. I know exactly where I am going. No, we'll take a right turn and reach the headquarters within 20 minutes.
Okay, I get that you can't afford voice actors and you don't want to voice the characters yourself, but horror is supposed to be about the extremes of emotion, and text-to-speech can't handle anything but dull surprise. Using text-to-speech is like hiring Tommy Wiseau. It doesn't matter what you have him say, it's going to sound funny.
Turning right, no. No, no.
Damn, the car seems to have broken down.
Oh, crap. The car radio is dead.
Anyway, how is your sex life?
Eventually, the cops reach a fork in the road and briefly debate where to go, even though you can plainly see that the left road cuts off after about 3 feet. But then the road and sidewalks keep taking turns sporadically not existing on the right side too, so what do I know? Just a reminder, PlayStation 4 game. Modern console release has only just remembered to render the road for a pre-rendered cutscene, and the lighting on the sidewalk just keeps cutting off in perfectly straight lines. Eventually, a city just kind of materializes, their car breaks down, and it takes these 2 trained cops way too long to piece together that a completely abandoned city is kind of a bad sign.
I am getting a bad vibe about this place.
No, you get bad vibes from the new Terminator movie when you recall the last 3 have been awful and progressively getting worse. This is more apocalyptic, bend over and kiss your ass goodbye vibes.
Hey, over here.
Yeesh, I guess the Unity pre-made asset store doesn't sell good hand-waving animations. Eventually, they find a guard who's obviously a zombie, but again, not the brightest lights on the Christmas tree, so they don't question why this guy is sitting in the corner staring at a wall with a club clipping into his hip until he turns around to attack them. The lady cop just abruptly disappears, so you head back to the car to load up on 14 frickin' machine guns, shotguns, and sniper rifles, and you go to look for her. This first level is rock stupid. The entire stage is one straight path with no turns or offshoots. You walk forward, some reject pumpkin heads spawn, you shoot them, and they die. Once all 3 groups are down, a gate opens, a checkpoint drops, and then you do it again. There are multiple skins and models for the enemies, but they're all the basic asset flip AI. None of them do anything except run straight towards you and harm you with touch. It's the same one basic enemy cloned endlessly, with no variation apart from 1 dude per group that has jacked up health. Apart from the shotgun and the 2 sniper rifles, all your weapons are basic machine guns, and ammo pickups just give you 1 spare magazine for the 1 gun you have equipped at the time. You just pick and use any gun in your arsenal until it runs dry, and then switch to a new identical gun. That's all there is to it. By the way, if these zombies look familiar to you, it's probably because several of the models that pop up in the first stage are the same zombie models from the Slaughtering Grounds. You know, that really infamously terrible game that blew up on the internet a few years back. This is the pitfall of using unmodified pre-bought Unity assets. Your game looks identical to other bad games. Now, I could tolerate another dime a dozen asset flip shooter. It'd be short, painless, and pointless, but much like a hull breach on a starship, the controls ungodly suck on multiple levels. Your head swivels back and forth constantly as you move, and when you stop moving, the camera just warps back to the center of your imaginary body. A lot of stupid wannabe horror devs do this because they think that it enhances realism, but brief biology lesson, unless you're very drunk, our heads do not do this when we walk. Every gun recoils about a mile in a completely random direction every single time that you fire a shot, so you constantly have to fight and fiddle with the right stick to line up more than one shot in a row. The camera is just constantly lurching to the side and it keeps swerving and teleporting like it's perpetually actively trying to make you puke. If you graze any object or enemy body in the levels, the controls completely lock up and you basically get frozen in place until you struggle to dislodge yourself. In this city environment where you're fighting enemies in the middle of a street, you freeze up, can't move, and get slaughtered if your ankle grazes the edge of a sidewalk or a curb, or if you back into a trash can or a light pole. And if you get frozen and an enemy reaches you, well, now you're stuck on 2 obstructions and you are already dead. And the poor stupid wheel game gets lost and confused if you try to turn while walking, and the directions on the left stick will skew all the time. I've wound up walking about 90 degrees to the right while trying to move straight forward. The controls blow so much ass, I found the best way to fight the enemies was just to get a group to spawn, run away, and then just stand in place shooting the enemies in turn. I opted to shoot 1 bullet at a time to minimize camera juking, and because I'm not fully convinced the game registers hits on enemies that are flinching. So, just curious, were those big-ass zombies that take a shitload of damage to kill supposed to be mini-bosses or something? Because he flinches for like a minute every time he's shot, and he's yet to damage me once for the stun locking. He's kinda just an annoying time sink. I get the point. Had no ideas for special enemies, huh? So, anytime you feel like dying, just feel free. Oh, for crying out loud, expire, you dumb bastard! After about 40 minutes of fighting the controls more than you're fighting the endlessly cloned brain-dead enemies, you come across a ghost of some kind named Serena. She tells you that the city is ruled by a demon king and that the woman cop is going to be sacrificed to it. I don't know why the captions keep putting demon king in quotes, though. That is not how that works.
Can I just stop you right there for a second? When people do this, I don't really know what that means.
The Ghost Lady, which is very blatantly a single crappy 2D mist sprite pasted over itself repeatedly, tells you that the Demon King can only be killed with a magic silver bullet and a magic golden gun. First, she time travels you to medieval times to grab the silver tail bullet. One might ask why a pre-industrial age with no firearms would have a magic bullet sitting around, but then one might also ask, why am I still playing this hot garbage? All of level 2 is a linear, narrow-ass path where you can barely move without getting caught on the scenery and frozen. It's almost a struggle just to walk. You head through the stage, and every couple of feet, a group of 3 enemies will spawn, and it's always 2 enemies ahead of you and 1 behind. They spawn in, trapping you in confined quarters, so there's nowhere to run, and they beat you to death. The game is deliberately exploiting its abysmal controls for difficulty now. And because of how the game handles checkpoints, every time you die, you respawn dead center in the middle of the group that just killed you. There doesn't seem to be any health pickups in this level, so I keep respawning 1 hit away from dying. Even worse, every time you respawn, you come back with the useless-ass pistol weapon equipped, and there's no fast way to change weapons. You press the control pad left or right, you slowly pull out the next weapon in your arsenal, and only once the next weapon's been fully drawn will the game let you swap to the next weapon. So let me break this down for you. You get killed, respawn 1 hit away from death, enemies warp in with you fully surrounded, even if you can run, you get hung up on the scenery, and it takes several seconds of fumbling on the controls to switch to a gun that isn't useless. You get caught in infinite loops of dying, respawning, and immediately dying again like you're trapped in the climax of Doctor Strange. Dormammu, I've come to bargain. Dormammu, I've come to bargain. Dormammu, I've come to Dormammu, I've come. Dormammu, oh, go screw yourselves. After about half an hour desperately inching my way through this broken hellhole, I had an idea. Just run past all the enemies. See, unlike the first level, there aren't any gates forcing you to kill the enemies before you move on. You can just run past them with no penalty. The game will even keep dropping checkpoints so that skipped fights stay skipped when you die. And this plan worked brilliantly! Until the game bugged out and respawned me with no weapons and I had to start over.
Okay!
No, really, this actually happened. I died and the game spawned me back with no weapons except for the useless-ass starting pistol and the knife. Reloading checkpoints and exiting the game did nothing. I had to restart the entire level. I played this level 5 freaking times. 4 of those runs ended by running into this same glitch over and over again, and the 5th time I actually got past the glitch only for the game to crash. Also, for whatever reason, the second level has a recurring glitch where jumping will have you leap about 10 stories into the air at once. This really is medieval times. Isaac Newton hasn't invented gravity yet. You'd think this would be a fun glitch to screw around with, but you can barely move while jumping. All I managed to do with it was to backtrack on accident and then get stuck on the top of a lamppost. Pretty much a fail all around. I came within an inch of rage quitting this game for the second level being so damn buggy I thought it was just impossible, but I still had an idea left to try. I bumped the game's difficulty down to easy, which reduces the number of enemies that spawn and keep the bastards from spawning behind you, and I tried methodically working through the level instead of skipping fights. Not only did I beat the level, but I'm pretty sure I figured out exactly what causes the glitch that was boning me. Near the end of the level, you walk out into this big courtyard-looking room. There are 3 entrances into this courtyard, all 3 are rigged to drop checkpoints, and the game's coding shits itself if you trigger more than one of these checkpoints, often on accident because the game has no signposting. There, I QA tested your game. I accept payment in Kit Kat bars. Reese's will do too. So you find the Silvertail magic bullet, at least the text says that you do, you never actually see the damn thing, I suspect because they couldn't find a pre-made asset for it, and then Serena takes you to the golden gun. Rather than just pop by Christopher Lee's house to borrow his, she warps you to a rainy valley. The golden fox is broken into 3 chunks, because of course it is, and you have to search the nearby houses to find them. There's just one problem, well, multiple problems actually, but one really big problem. This level is fucking huge! Look at this place! This is the kind of big, empty-ass map you'd find in a crappy shout-out live service game. It's just a big, flat field with a few houses strewn in at random, and it seems to go on forever. How in the hell am I supposed to find 3 gun parts in this? And why does the foliage in the trees keep disappearing? You are dropped into this massive map with no hints or directions other than search all the houses. There are dozens of houses strewn throughout this map. Tons of the houses look identical, several you can't go inside, only you don't know that you can't go inside until you've dragged yourself all around the house and found no entrance, and there are barely any landmarks in this level. You'll never have any clue where you are, where you've been, or what you should be doing. Needle, meet haystack, and good luck douchebag. And the worst part of this level is that your movement speed is abysmally, painfully slow. It takes forever to blindly wander through this swamp, hoping you find some houses, and then it takes forever to slowly drag yourself around and through all the houses, painstakingly checking each one, in the vain hope that you've lucked out and the gun part will be around the next corner, but it never is. Plus, every time you enter a house, you hang on the stairs and banister, and it's a struggle just to walk through the shittin' house, and then you slowly trek off in another direction, trying to remember the direction you came from so you don't blindly wander back where you just came. And the whole time you have to stop to fight zombies that spawn 5 or 6 at a time, so the level takes even longer to traverse, getting killed every so often because the zombies don't make noise, so you don't realize whether any stragglers are left until they're already on you. Wait, what? Is this recurring character model literally just a body that's textured in solid black? Come on! I played this level for an hour and a half. I explored dozens of houses, triggered dozens of checkpoints just to confirm that I wasn't doubling over the same ground. I couldn't find a single one of these damned gun pieces, and to be honest, I'm starting to doubt whether these things exist. And with how unstable the game is, I don't trust the game not to bug out or crash even if I find them. I mean, the game tells you nothing. I mean, nothing! I was wondering why the dev would throw a level into the game that's nothing but wandering aimlessly around with no slight semblance of structure, but then I remembered literally everything in this game is a pre-made asset that the dev just bought and threw in. I'd bet you this big-ass empty map is a pre-made starter level built for sandbox games, and the dev just threw it into the completely wrong genre and completely misused it because they had no idea what they were doing.
There are two things that David S. Pumpkins hates worse than raisins: loot boxes and games that deliberately waste the player's time. I got other stuff to do, man.
Yeah, I'm done with this game. I refuse to spend hours bumbling blindly through this empty-ass map just hoping through dumb luck I eventually stumble across the items I need to see the end of your piss-awful video game. I don't care about your shitty plot. I don't care about your characters that aspire to be one-note and cookie-cutter. I don't care about whatever monster you bought off the Unity store to serve as a half-assed final boss, and I doubt anyone on the internet, known for its futility and bottomless stupidity, I doubt anyone, anywhere, cared enough to beat or make a guide on this horrible... Oh. Video game trophy collectors made a guide to find the gun parts. I don't want to know how long this person spent searching for these gun parts in the name of incrementing a single number on your video game profile. Alright, the level is basically a huge square. You spawn at the bottom, head to the bottom right corner, check to the left side, and then follow the wall until you find these three houses in order. Even with a map directly telling you where to go, it takes about an hour to beat this level because you walk just that damn slowly and the level is just that pointlessly huge. It takes 15 minutes just to reach the first house, traveling on a beeline. Suffice it to say, I am bored out of my skull. But I find the three pieces of the Golden Fox, which is just a machine gun painted yellow, and you finally head to face the Demon King. And he's the most stereotypical pre-made devil character model that you've ever seen. I like how the devil has a big conspicuous black thong for modesty. The Golden Fox doesn't appear in your inventory and a shield appears when you try to shoot Thong Devil, so clearly I can't damage him and I'm meant to fight his minions. Two groups of enemies spawn, I kill them, and then... The hell did he go? He was just standing on top of one of those houses, and now he's gone. He's buggered off. I wandered around the entire level, it's not that big. Thong Devil never reappears. I replayed this level something like 5 times and I eventually caught what happens on video. Thong Devil flies to a new house while you're fighting his first group of minions, and when you start fighting the second group, he literally just flies out through the back of the level and he never comes back. This corner of the map is fully ensconced in invisible walls. There's no way to chase after him. The game's final boss just gets bored and flies away. Even he doesn't want anything to do with this game. So after all that perseverance to get this far, I'm pretty sure the Unknown City is physically impossible to complete, or at least it's so buggy that you can't beat it reliably. There is no PSN trophy for beating the final boss, which is pretty much unheard of for games that have achievements, so I'm choosing to take that as a signed confession from the developer that the game has no ending. And because there's no trophy for beating Thong Devil, there's no walkthrough detailing how to get the fight to work, nor can I find any footage of the final level on YouTube. The few people who actually bothered to catalog this crapstorm just grabbed their trophies and went home. The final boss runs away, you're stuck here forever, game over. Why would I expect anything more at this point? How does this garbage keep getting onto the PlayStation 4? You only need to play this shit for a minute to know that this shouldn't be sold for money anywhere under any circumstances. The controls are god-awful, the game is glitchy as all hell to where basic movement is torturous, the combat is cheap and barely exists, the AI is nigh non-existent, the graphics are horrible, the level layouts take the most basic gameplay imaginable and manage to sink it into being nearly unbearable, and even if you can look past all that, I'm reasonably sure the game can't be finished. This garbage would almost embarrass Steam. The hell is it doing on one of the big three consoles? The only thing scary about this game, beyond the implicit threat of a sequel, is how low Sony's standards have sunk. This isn't the end of that rabbit hole, though. It's never the end. But that's enough for now.
Happy Halloween from David S. Pumpkins. And if you live someplace that doesn't have Halloween, well then to hell with you.